We have got ourselves a stellar guest. Okay, our guest is April Duplantis. She is a successful Etsy seller who has made the successful transition over to TikTok Shop, and she's coming on to share her wisdom, some tips and tricks, so you too can learn a little bit more about how to find success on TikTok Shop. April, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day, out of that scorching Texas heat, to join us and our audience today. But to break the ice a little bit here, April, I'm going to ask you a little trivia question, okay? And it's going to be TikTok related. First of all, are you ready?
I think so.
Excellent. And you folks out there can play along. Type in the answer into the chat as you see fit. Okay, so the question is, who has the most followers on TikTok? Is it Kabi LeMay, Charli D'Amelio, Bella Poarch, or Mr. Beast?
Okay. I'm going to go with, I know that three of those are definitely in the top three. I am going to say Charli D'Amelio.
Oh, so close. Charlie's number two. The correct answer is Kabi LeMay. He's got like 162 million followers. And folks, if you haven't had the chance, do yourself a favor and check it out. He's hilarious. Okay. All right, wonderful. Well, you are forgiven. You get bonus points at least for coming in second place. So no harm, no foul, April. Well, let's dive a little bit into your story here. First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey into POD, and then how you found success on Etsy.
Okay, so I actually started, about myself. My name's April Duplantis. I'm from Texas. I am 40 years old. I am a stay-at-home mom. And I work from home. And so this is kind of how I started with POD. This is actually my 1 year on POD. I just celebrated my 1 year in May. And so last March, before POD, I had a children's boutique online where I was drop shipping clothes from some vendors inside the United States. And I had a website through Shopify, which I love Shopify. Kind of the problem with having your own website is driving your own traffic to these websites. And I solely used Facebook to drive my traffic to my website. Long story short, I got some violations on Facebook in March of 2023, last year. First ever violations, never had a violation before in my decade on there. And they shut down my Facebook permanently. And so, yeah, I was told that it was an accident and that it should have been a temporary suspension, but they permanently shut it down and they said that they couldn't go back. What's done is done. And they advised me to start a new Facebook, which at the time was devastating. Now I'm super grateful that this happened to me. So that day I essentially lost my job. I went from making good sales every day with my business to zero sales. And I completely lost my income that day, which was a really big blow for my family because we're a dual income household like most people are. And so, I talked to my husband and we were like, we've got about a month to figure out something to do, or I'm going to have to go work outside the home. And so I was on YouTube. I was researching how to drive some traffic to my Shopify store. I was watching a video by Hannah Gardner and she kept saying POD. It was like the third time she said POD. And I'm like, what is POD? So I open another little window and I'm like, what is POD on YouTube? And I always say this is like the YouTube search that changed my life. And a video came up by Cassie Johnson and she explained to me what POD was, or just explained in general on this video what POD was. And like, I think there were like dollar signs in my eyes, like when she was explaining this, because I could immediately see the potential of being able to have this much inventory this deep and this wide without putting any money into it and purchasing this inventory and overhead and stuff like that. And so I decided that day in May of last year that I was going to stop my business and start my POD journey. I absorbed all of the information that I could off of YouTube. I watched every video that I could find of everyone telling me how to do POD and how to get on Etsy and just everything. There's so many good videos. And I was just, that day I shut down my other business. I cried a little bit, and then I was 150% on POD, and I worked just nonstop for that first month, just listing and researching on what to do for POD. And that is how I got started on print on demand.
Okay, wow. Well, it's really a story of perseverance where most people probably would have given up after that big blow from Facebook, but not you. You rolled with the punches, one door closed, another door opened, and here you are. So you had success on Etsy. What made you make the transition to TikTok Shop?
Well, I really kind of avoided TikTok for a little while. Andre, my Printify advisor, kept telling me you should get on TikTok. You should get on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to post. And I'm doing really well on Etsy. And so I don't know. I kind of freed up some time just recently. I've only been on TikTok for a couple of months now, and so I kind of freed up some time after I got through 1 year of experiencing every quarter on Etsy, because I needed to design new listings for every quarter last year. And so after I got through all 4 quarters, I had a little bit of free time because I had designs going into the next quarter. And so I was like, I'll try TikTok Shop. And I did. It was very easy to start. It was just like Etsy. The research that goes into it is just the same as you do on Etsy. My motto with Etsy and with TikTok Shop is to not reinvent the wheel. Do not just try to come up with designs that you want to sell. See what's selling. Go to TikTok Shop. See what has sold thousands of items. If I'm selling t-shirts, what are people buying in the t-shirts? And then make that. Same with Etsy. Make what people are already buying. And that's exactly what I did with TikTok. And my first TikTok sale was the day after I opened my TikTok Shop. So,
my goodness,
it went very well.
Okay, so basically you took your already successful business model you had built on Etsy, transferred that one-to-one over to TikTok Shop, and got rolling immediately. I really like that. I really like that story. And just a quick reminder to you folks out there, we're going to have a Q&A session as soon as we're done with this interview portion. So if you got those questions, pop those into the chat right now, and April and I will be happy to address those at the end. Okay, so great. So now you're on TikTok Shop. Let's talk a little bit about what it is you do on TikTok Shop. So what niche have you targeted? Is it the same niche that you were targeting on Etsy? What products are you selling? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, it is the same niches that I targeted on Etsy. It is a little bit different because on Etsy I go more towards personalization on Etsy, but I do target women, moms, women niches, that kind of deal. But on TikTok, I target the exact same thing, but I don't do any personalized items on TikTok. So, anything that's trending with women in t-shirts, I've only done t-shirts so far on TikTok. I have lots of items on Etsy, but I had more time. There are lots of items I would love to add to TikTok. And if there were more hours in the day, I would have them already. I will eventually. I just don't have the time yet. But yes, t-shirts, specifically the Bella Canvas 3001, Comfort Color 1717. Those are the only 2 products I've sold. I sell them all day long, and in just trending women's niches. That's the only target that I have right now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's talk numbers. How many sales do you get a day?
Well, up until about 2 days ago, I was averaging about 30 to 35 sales a day, which is fantastic. And then just starting the last 3 days, I have been hitting over 60 sales a day. So yesterday I did 78 sales. The day before that was, I think, 68 sales. So I'm hoping this is my new trajectory, but I have seen a steady increase since I've started selling on TikTok. So I'm not expecting it to go down, as I'm expecting it to exponentially go up, actually, as I gain more followers through my videos and my posts and this stuff. I'm expecting this to really skyrocket for me. If yesterday I did 78 sales, and I have about 3,000 followers right now, which isn't a ton. But if I can get 78 sales with 3,000 followers, I just can't imagine how many sales I could get if I had 10,000 followers.
Exactly. Well, and that's not bad at all in just a few months. So I hope everybody out there is paying
Right.
attention to this story. Well, let's talk a little bit about how you get there. Like, how many products do you publish on like a daily or weekly basis?
Right now, in total, I have about 240 products on the TikTok shop. I plan to have much more. My every day I must post 3. So that is like my 100%. No matter what happens, I'm putting 3 products on TikTok today. I have the same rules with my Etsy shop. No matter what happens, I want to put this many products on per day, because I think that it is super important to show both Etsy and TikTok that you're consistently on the platform, and you're consistently posting products. You're telling them, I'm serious. I'm a serious business. I'm putting products out every single day. That's my theory. It's worked for me. But some days, this morning before I am here with you guys, I've put 10 items on TikTok today. And so I have some days where I try to get a lot more. And then, some days where I don't get as much because I split my time between Etsy and TikTok, but a minimum of 3 items per day for me.
Okay. And then how many videos are you posting on a daily basis?
I am at a minimum of 2 a day. That's a lot right now, but it's only because I'm trying so hard, with my motto with Etsy, TikTok, and really just anything I do in life is to just come in hot, like you've got to do a lot at the front end. And so some days I do 4 videos, but I'm trying to do a minimum of 2 and not miss that mark. Yesterday, I think I did 3. So I think with the videos as well, it's about staying consistent.
Okay, and then now that you've been on TikTok Shop for a while, what have you found that is surprising about the seller experience?
Well, really what I found the most surprising so far is that you don't actually have to post videos to TikTok to make sales. So with me, in the last 28 days, I've done about $20,000 on TikTok in sales. And this was actually before my sales yesterday and the day before that I checked this, but about 15% of that came from, about $3,000 of that came from the videos that I posted. So if you don't want to post the videos, you don't have to. I would have still made $17,000 in sales this month had I not posted any videos to my TikTok. However, I do think that posting to your TikTok is what's going to, do I want to stay at $17,000 in sales? No, I want to hit much higher than that. And I think that posting a video and growing a following is going to really skyrocket my sales.
Okay. Well, I've got one final question for you before we move on to the Q&A portion. And that's if someone out there right now watching is eager to get on TikTok and follow in your shoes, what advice do you have for them?
First of all, the advice that I would definitely give you is to just go on YouTube and YouTube like TikTok violations first, because you do not want to get caught with I've already gotten a few of them. And so it's like Etsy, you have to follow their rules and you can get shut down, pretty quickly. And so figure out what the violations are first and make sure that you do not violate those. My rule of thumb now is if I did not take the photo and I did not take the video, do not post it, because TikTok is all about original content. You cannot share a video that you've pulled off of Canva, or you cannot share a video that you pulled off. I don't even know how they know it's not your video, but you cannot share any other video. I got some violation points for sharing a video off of Canva. So know the violations, and then just do a little bit of research. There's so many people on YouTube telling you exactly how to do this and make money, and just get started. It's so easy. All you have to do is set up your account and then use TikTok for your research, or use Etsy for your research, and just go to the product marketplace and see what's selling, and then make that better. Don't take the exact design, just take it and make it better, and post that. And you can find designs on Etsy. I find a lot of my designs. I make a lot. I find a lot of them on Etsy, but it's really very easy to just today you could open up your your TikTok shop, be approved by tomorrow, list 10 items tomorrow, and have a sale by the next day. That's how easy it is.
There you go. Truer words have never been spoken. Thank you so much for sharing your story, April. I really appreciate it. Well, we've got some questions from our audience. Are you ready for this, April?
I'm ready.
Excellent. All right, Leah, what is our audience out there saying? What would they like to know?
Yes, we actually have a lot of really good questions, and specifically for April. So let's start with Shadman Akhtar. They're asking, what tip helped you start earning online in the first place?
What tip for Etsy that helped me start earning online? I will say go and watch Stephen Chen's $1 Million Challenge. That was the one video where I took a piece of advice from him about personalization that landed me $50,000 in sales by my second month on Etsy. What tip on TikTok? I don't even remember what video I was watching on YouTube, but it was just about doing your research on TikTok and going to find what items. When you go to the product marketplace, it will tell you what items are in thousands of carts and how many people have bought this item. And then you know that people are out there looking for that item. And so those niche, whatever that item is, that niche, or if I can't find the product in Printify, I will just take whatever that saying is that people are loving so much and I'll put it on a tote bag in Printify, or I'll put it on something else. And that has always worked for me as well.
Okay, wonderful. Excellent. Well, let's keep the question train rolling. What is our next question, Leah?
So kind of going about designs again, we have a question from Emma. Could you explain how to find trending designs? How do you find trends for your niche?
So on Etsy, I will find what's in 20 plus carts, really. I like to add it to my cart, because if you add it to your cart and then you go to your cart, sometimes you will find some designs that when you put it in your cart, it'll be like, this is in 547 other carts. And that is what I like to call like a golden nugget. You're like, that so many people want this design. And so that will immediately go on TikTok, because I'm like, if 547 people have this in their cart. So these are designs that I find on Etsy, and I'll put them on TikTok. It's just, with TikTok, I either find what's trending on Etsy, or I go into the TikTok marketplace. Up in the search bar, I type in women's t-shirts and I see what comes up, and I see what people are buying and what has lots have sold and lots in the cart and stuff like that. And those are the niches I will design in, and the designs that I will do.
Okay. All right. Yes. And I preach the gospel of competitor research. If you want to know what designs are trending, find and seek out other people that are selling in your niche and see what they're doing, build on their ideas and make them your own. Okay. Make competitor research part of your regular workflow. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's cover some more questions in the time we have left. And I just want to apologize in advance if we don't get to your question, but let's see how many we can fit in. What's the next question, Leah?
Yes. Let's continue the topic about research. Kaylee has a question. April, what is your recommendation for keyword research for TikTok?
Listen, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I have not put in a lot of effort into the keyword. Like with Etsy, with SEO, that has seemed completely different for me. For TikTok, I have looked at what is selling. I've done my research on what has been selling, and people are just naming it what it is. And it's kind of like Etsy, a few different things. So like if I have like a summertime shirt and say that it says like salty on it. Okay. So I'm going to say like salty shirt, comfort colors, if mine's on comfort colors, or salty shirt. And then I'll do salty shirt, beach t-shirt, summertime t-shirt. And then maybe one other thing like women's t-shirt or women's shirt. I try not to repeat the words too much because TikTok really doesn't like that. And so I try to use like shirt, t-shirt, tee. And then that's kind of where I drop off because I can't think of any other words for t-shirt. So I don't put a ton of effort and research into the keywords. And my TikTok has been pretty successful. So I would say don't put too much thought into that.
Okay, yeah, but the thing to take away from that is try to make each title unique so that you're not repeating yourself over and over again. Good advice there.
Yes, definitely.
Let's go for 2 more quick questions, okay, Leah?
All right. So this is actually kind of a two-parter. We have a question from Catherine. Do you see better sales with lives or with just posting? And then also, you mentioned that you don't have to post a video on TikTok to make a sale. In that case, how do you make the sale? Do you put a link in your bio? How does that work?
Okay, on the first question, I can answer that beyond a doubt because I've never gone live. I'm terrified. So I will. I'm working up to it. But I haven't yet. I've done a little research. Well, I've watched some lives, and if you're on TikTok, and please keep in mind, I'm very new to TikTok. So they're like, oh, thanks for the tiny dino and stuff like that. And I'm like, what is that? So I don't know what any of these things are yet. But as far as your second part, I've never gone live. That hasn't worked for me yet. So as far as your second question, so this was kind of confusing for me in the beginning, but your TikTok shop is separate from your TikTok social where you're posting and stuff from. When you put your items in your TikTok shop, now you can link your TikTok shop in your social, but when you put your items in your TikTok shop, these items are called product cards, and TikTok shop is like a search engine. And so TikTok shop is just pushing out your product cards already. So like I said earlier, if there's a salty women's t-shirt, if someone goes in to TikTok shop and searches for a women's beach t-shirt, mine is probably going to come up in the TikTok shop. And this has nothing to do with my posting or social. So that's how I've made $17,000 in sales from just the TikTok shop. It doesn't have anything to do with social. I never needed to post on my social to get these sales. So you can start your TikTok shop today, put all your items in the TikTok shop, never post a video, and make money. I do think you'll make more if you grow a following and post some videos, but you can still do it without posting.
Excellent. All right. Let's go to our last question.
All right. Yes, last question from Nerdy Kitten. With all those sales, how often do you get returns on TikTok?
I was thinking about this earlier when you guys were talking about it. And so, embarrassingly, I don't know my entire TikTok total sales, but I would have to assume they're somewhere around, I would have to assume I've only been on for a few months. Let's say that they're around 40,000 or something like that. I have had less than 10 returns. I do not mess with them. I eat the cost and I move forward. I just don't care. It's not worth it. I have the same theory on Etsy. I just, I accept the return and I move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I don't know why you're nervous about going live. We're live right now and you're doing great. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us, April. You're doing great.